This story is about Tasha, a 9-year-old black girl surviving under a freeway in Los Angeles. One desperate night, she walks into a grocery store barefoot, cradling her baby brother just to ask for milk. But what starts as a moment of need sparks a chain of reckoning across a city that forgot girls like her existed. This isn't a rescue story. It's about a girl who made the world see her. "I'm not stealing. I just need the milk." Those 7 words stopped the room cold. No screaming, no crying, just the flat honesty of a child who had run out of options. The cashier froze mid-scan. A customer near the cereal aisle turned phone halfway to his face. Then came the snap judgment, the thing that always comes first. "We don't give handouts here, kid. Put it back." Tasha didn't have anything in her hands. That was the point. She had nothing to put back. She stood near the refrigerated section, toes raw against the linoleum floor, a baby swaddled in an old hoodie against her chest. The wind outside still clung to her bones. Her fingers shook, not from fear, but from the chill, from hunger, from being ignored too long. The clerk started to reach for the phone. "You gotta go, or I'm calling security." Tasha didn't beg. She didn't run. She only nodded and turned her eyes not on the exit, but on the shelf behind the counter. The one with the formula, the good kind. The kind her brother Micah stopped crying for when it hit his tongue. She whispered to herself, "He's still hungry," then walked out like a ghost. The security footage would go viral 12 hours later. But not because of the store. Not because of the clerk. Because of Monica. Monica Reyes was scrolling through her feed on a borrowed couch in Boyle Heights, sipping instant coffee that tasted like burnt socks. She was supposed to be editing an article about displacement in West LA, but the headline caught her "Little girl asks for milk, gets kicked out. Where is her family?" She clicked it without thinking, expecting another poverty porn reel that racked up likes, but changed nothing. But the moment she saw Tasha's face, those eyes that didn't ask for pity, just recognition, something cracked open. She paused the video, zoomed in. The girl had written something on the baby's blanket. "Don't take him. He's mine." Monica dropped the coffee. Her breath caught in her throat. Because 10 years ago she'd written the same words on a napkin the night CPS took her little brother. She'd never seen him again. Within minutes, she was already calling in favors. A former caseworker owed her a tip. A nurse downtown remembered a girl dragging a baby stroller held together with duct tape. The last confirmed sighting, 7th Street Bridge, under the overpass. "Hell," Monica muttered, grabbing her coat. "I'm going back to where it started." She didn't pack a recorder. She didn't bring a mic. She knew this wasn't a story yet. It was a reckoning. She'd been on both sides of the lens. Victim, reporter, and now witness. As the sky began to fade behind the clouds, Monica reached the bridge, wind roaring like 1,000 secrets. She walked along the cement embankment past graffiti, half covered with soot and prayers. That's when she saw the blanket, the one from the video, and beside it 2 figures wrapped tight against the cold. One sat upright, alert, ready to run. "Tasha," Monica called gently. The girl blinked immediately, shielding Micah with her arms. "I didn't steal anything," she whispered. "I swear." Monica knelt down, slow, unthreatening. "I know. I saw the video." Tasha's expression shifted from fear to confusion, to something Monica remembered too well. Suspicion that wore the mask of hope. "You one of them?" the girl asked. "Child services," Monica shook her head. "I used to be you?" Tasha's jaw clenched. She didn't believe her, but she didn't run either. That was enough. Monica reached into her coat and pulled out a sandwich. "You eat first. Then we talk." As Tasha tore into the bread with trembling hands, Monica's chest burned. Not from the cold, but from the weight of knowing what came next. Because this wasn't a story that ended with a sandwich. This was the beginning of war. And this time, Monica wouldn't be on the sidelines. Tasha chewed the sandwich like she hadn't eaten in days. Because she hadn't. Monica watched her crouched low on the concrete embankment. The baby still nestled against the girl's chest, like a heartbeat she couldn't lose. The wind whipped through the overpass, but neither of them moved. There was something sacred in the quiet, an unspoken truce between a world that forgot them and two people who hadn't. "You said you used to be me," Tasha finally said, licking crumbs from her fingers. "You mean homeless?" Monica nodded. 12. Me and my little brother. After Mama disappeared. Her voice caught, but she didn't flinch. "We stayed under the 6th Street Bridge until the cops found us. They took him away. Said I wasn't old enough to care for him." Tasha's arms instinctively tightened around Micah. "I'm not letting them take him," she said. "They won't. Not if I can help it," Monica said carefully, knowing she couldn't promise that. Not in this system. Not when help often meant forms, and phone calls and red tape that wrapped around people until they disappeared. She scanned the space again. Makeshift bedding, a plastic tarp full of crushed cans, a bag of wet clothes. "Where's your mom?" "Sometimes she's here. Sometimes she's not." Tasha shrugged, like she was used to it. "She gets quiet and stares a lot. Then she walks around talking to people who aren't there. When she's like that, I make sure Micah's fed. She doesn't mean to forget. Her brain's just loud." Monica didn't speak. She didn't need to. This wasn't just a girl in trouble. This was a system's shadow, one the city tried to step over every day. But shadows don't disappear. They wait. "Tasha, I need to take you somewhere warm. Just for a little bit. Not the police. Not the shelter." Monica added quickly, seeing the panic rise. "It's a friend's place. She runs a safe drop-in center for teens. No questions, no reports." Tasha hesitated, looked down at Micah, then back up. "If I go," she said, "you promise you won't tell anyone about the bridge?" Monica didn't answer right away, because the truth was, she already had. Back at her apartment, her phone had recorded a short voice memo. Not the girl's name, not her face. Just her own voice narrating what she saw. The way you do when your instincts know a story is bigger than you can hold in your hands. She hadn't published it, but she'd saved it, which meant she was already threading this into something bigger. "I promise I'll keep you safe," Monica said instead. It was enough. The safe house wasn't a shelter. It was a halfway home turned day haven, funded by donations and sheer grit. A woman named Nadine ran it, 50, sharp-tongued, soft-hearted. She didn't ask questions when Monica showed up at the door with a freezing girl and a bundled baby. "We've got one cot left," she said. "But we'll make space. Always do." Tasha clung to Micah like he'd evaporate if she let go. Even after they brought her a blanket and dry socks, she didn't smile. Didn't blink. Her guard didn't lower, not for a second. Monica stayed for hours. She texted no one, took no photos, didn't tweet. Because this moment, this fragile inhale, didn't belong to the internet. It belonged to the girl who hadn't been seen in days, except through a blurry security cam. Only after Micah fell asleep on the cot did Tasha speak again. "People think we're dirty," she said. "But I wash my hands before I touch him. Always. Even if it's just with snow or paper towels." Monica sat on the floor beside her. "You're a better mom than half the people I know." Tasha shook her head. "I'm not his mom. I'm just what he's got." Monica swallowed the lump rising in her throat, because that sentence, raw and unfiltered, had once come from her own mouth. She pulled out her phone thumb, hovering over the screen. "I want to help you, but I can't do it from the shadows. If I write about this carefully, maybe I can make them see you. Not as a case, not as a number, but as a kid who deserves more." Tasha looked at her eyes, dark and ancient. "People see. They just look away." Monica paused, then showed her the voice memo. "Listen, I didn't use your name, didn't say where, just your story. How you walked into that store not to take, but to ask." Tasha listened, word by word. When it ended, she didn't say anything. She just nodded, and that was all Monica needed. The article went live the next morning. Short, direct, no clickbait. "Her name isn't trouble. One girl's request for milk shouldn't be a crime." By noon, it had 10,000 shares. By night, $60,000. And then the emails came. Not from readers, but from people with badge numbers and job titles and acronyms behind their names. Social services, youth protection. One even claimed to be from the mayor's office. All with the same question. Where is she? Monica didn't answer. She wasn't ready. But she knew she was out of time. Because systems don't read with empathy. They react with procedure. And now, the system was knocking. Monica stared at the screen like it was a loaded gun. The inbox kept filling subject lines colder than winter steel. Welfare investigation request. Immediate reporting required. Juvenile protection directive. They didn't care that Tasha was safe now. Warm, fed, held. They only cared that someone had written about her without permission, that a girl had cried in public, and someone had paid attention. The last message was from Troy Mathers, a regional supervisor in LA's Youth Crisis Division. Monica remembered him from a panel on urban resilience a few years back. All charm and sharp suits. A man who spoke of empathy like it was an academic theory, not a lived thing. His message was shorter than the rest. Call me. You know why. She didn't reply. She didn't have to. Because when the system wants something, it doesn't ask. It acts. The knock came at 6:14 a.m. Nadine answered the door, half-dressed, still tying her headscarf. Two men in state jackets stood tall with clipboards and polite authority. We received an anonymous tip about a minor being harbored without registration, one said. Monica was already on her feet by the time Tasha came stumbling down the hallway, still groggy, Micah fussing in her arms. The words that followed were familiar. We're not here to take her. We just need to assess. Protocol. Monica stepped forward. I'm her temporary guardian. She's not alone. The taller agent checked his form. You're not listed in the system. And this facility doesn't meet the registration threshold for emergency placement. She's safer here than wherever you're thinking of sending her, Monica shot back. He didn't argue. He just reached for the radio on his shoulder. Tasha gripped Micah tighter, her voice barely above a breath. Miss Monica. Are they taking us? Monica crouched low, leveled her eyes with hers. Not without me fighting. But they did. Within 45 minutes, Tasha and Micah were in a white van, headed to a child intake center near Vernon. Monica wasn't allowed to ride with them. Nadine tried to reason, then threatened legal action. But the men only nodded, murmured about urgent placement, and drove off. Monica didn't scream. She didn't cry. She sat down on the curb, clenched fists against her knees, and pulled out her phone. And she recorded. Today, a girl who only wanted milk got taken from the only safe place she's had in weeks, because a system that failed her once doesn't like being reminded. She uploaded it in one shot. No edits, no filter. Raw. Then she went after Troy. The youth crisis facility was a fortress in brick and silence. Clean on the outside, bureaucracy on the inside. Monica had been there before once to profile their reform efforts. Once more bitterly when her brother had passed through its doors and never came out the same. She didn't wait for an appointment. She stormed past reception, ignored the protests, and pushed into Troy Mathers' glass-walled office. He looked up from his laptop like she'd just interrupted lunch. I told you to call me, he said. I don't take orders from the people who steal children behind polite language, Monica snapped. Troy leaned back, smooth, measured. She's in temporary custody. We're just protecting her. You're protecting yourselves, Monica fired. From bad press. From people realizing that this city would rather institutionalize a kid than support the woman trying to keep her alive. Troy stood now. Not angry. Just tired of pretending. You made this political, Monica. You wrote a story, not a solution. Do you know how many Tashas there are in this city? You think writing a few paragraphs changes that? No, Monica said, stepping closer. But this one matters. And you know it. Because her face is going viral. Because people are watching. He narrowed his eyes. And what if they weren't? Monica didn't blink. Then, I'd still be here. That night, Tasha sat in a holding room with peeling paint and flickering lights. Micah had fallen asleep in a state-issued onesie, the smell of antiseptic clinging to his tiny limbs. She hadn't been allowed to keep the hoodie. They said it wasn't sanitized. She traced the outline of her sock on the linoleum floor, refusing to cry. A woman came in with forms. "We're working on placement. Might be foster care for now." "Your mom hasn't responded." Tasha looked up. Her voice was flat. "She doesn't know how to come back." The woman hesitated, then nodded, scribbled something, and left. Tasha turned her head toward the window. The stars looked different from here, smaller farther, like they weren't watching anymore. But then the door creaked, and Monica walked in. She wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't family. She wasn't licensed. But she had a camera and a pen, and something rarer than all that she gave a damn. Tasha didn't smile, but she stood up, because if Monica was still fighting, she would too. Monica wasn't supposed to get in, but she did. Someone at the front desk must have blinked, or maybe someone higher up saw the numbers her latest post had pulled. Either way, she found her way into the holding room where Tasha was standing, not smiling, just standing like someone refusing to fall. "You're not supposed to be here," Tasha whispered. Monica stepped forward, her voice steady. "Neither are you." Tasha looked down at Micah sleeping in a borrowed crib. The room felt like a waiting room for decisions made far away. Everything was gray. The walls, the sheets, even the air. Monica pulled a chair close, sat down beside her. "I'm working on getting you out. I've already talked to a lawyer, pro bono trauma specialist. She's good." Tasha stared at her. "They're gonna send me away, aren't they?" "Not if I can help it," Monica said. But her voice wasn't full of fire this time. It was full of something more dangerous. Doubt. "They're building a case. Saying your mom abandoned you. Saying there's no stable relative, no long-term guardian. They mean you." Monica didn't answer. Tasha looked at her straight. "You said you weren't going to let them take me." "I didn't." "They took you anyway," Monica whispered. Silence stretched between them. Micah stirred, smacked his lips, and fell quiet again. Monica stood. She pulled something from her coat. A worn envelope. "This is a copy of the intake report from when they took my brother. I requested it last year for another story. You want to read something awful?" She handed it over. "It says he had no future. Just like they're saying about you." Tasha didn't take the envelope. She just stared at it. At the proof that this wasn't new. That maybe this wasn't even about her. "Did you get him back?" she asked. "No," Monica replied. "He aged out. Then he disappeared." "So you lost," Tasha said. Monica looked her in the eyes. "I didn't have what I have now." Tasha's eyes narrowed. Like what people watching? That night, Monica drove across the city to an address she hadn't visited in over a decade. An old motel-turned-assisted housing unit in Westlake. She parked under a flickering sign that read Sunset Lodge, though the paint had long faded. Inside room 213 still smelled like smoke and Lysol. And sitting by the window, wrapped in 3 coats and a scarf, even though the heater buzzed loudly, was Tasha's mother. Her name was Jacinda. She didn't look surprised when Monica walked in. "I figured someone would come," she said. Her voice was hoarse, like someone who'd screamed a long time ago and never stopped echoing. "I'm not from the state," Monica said. "But they took your daughter. And your son." Jacinda flinched. "I told her not to leave the bridge. Told her to stay hidden. That's how we stayed alive. We stay hidden." "She left because Micah was hungry." Jacinda closed her eyes. "You know what they're saying now," Monica continued. "That you're unstable. That she has no safe home to go back to. They're trying to cut her loose." Jacinda finally looked at her. "I'm not crazy. I never said you were. But they will. Soon as I walk into that building without a job, without a record of treatment, they'll say I'm broken." Monica didn't disagree. "I'm not here to judge. I'm here to ask you, will you come with me tomorrow?" Sit down with a social worker. Let me help document your side. I've got a therapist who's willing to do a trauma eval, free. All it takes is your yes. Jacinda pulled at the hem of her sleeve, fingers trembling. What if I fail again? She whispered. What if I get her back and I ruin her worse? Monica knelt, not as a reporter, not as an advocate, just as someone who once believed the same thing. Then we try again, she said. Together. Jacinda nodded once. You'll have to drive me. I don't do buses anymore. Monica smiled, just a little. Deal. The next morning, Monica sat in a stiff chair across from a woman in a blue blazer, with a badge clipped to her lapel. Jacinda sat beside her, showered, dressed in the least wrinkled outfit Monica could find in her trunk. The room wasn't friendly. It wasn't hostile either. It was just indifferent. Like the walls had heard too many stories to care anymore. The woman, Ms. Harrington, typed as they spoke. Clinical questions. Medication history. Last known address. Mental health diagnosis. Jacinda answered, voice cracking, only when she talked about Micah's birth. He looked at me, like I was something good, she said. Even when I wasn't. Ms. Harrington paused. Then looked at Monica. You've been advocating for this child. I've been listening, Monica corrected. And writing. People care. I've got over 100,000 readers now tracking this story. This isn't just about one girl. This is about how many fall through the cracks. The woman looked up. Stories don't win custody cases. Monica leaned forward. No, but silence loses them. Back at the center, Tasha was pulled from class and led to a side room. Her heart thumped hard. She thought it was another eval, another stranger asking her how many meals she ate per day. But instead, when she walked in, she saw her mother, standing, dressed, crying. Tasha froze. You came. Jacinda opened her arms. I'm sorry it took this long. Tasha didn't run to her. But she didn't walk away either. She stepped forward. And for the first time in weeks, she let herself be held. Tasha let herself be held, but she didn't melt into it. Not like a child coming home. Her spine stayed straight. Her eyes stayed open. She leaned into Jacinda, like someone checking the weight of something fragile, seeing if it would break again. Monica saw it all. She stood quietly in the corner, letting the moment breathe, not intrude. This wasn't reunion. Not yet. This was a test of gravity. Would the ground finally hold? After a few seconds, Tasha stepped back. She didn't speak, just looked her mother up and down, measuring what had changed and what hadn't. You look tired, she said. Jacinda smiled a twitch at the corner of her mouth. That's fair. The room went still again. Then, Micah fussed in the nearby crib. Tasha turned, picked him up automatically. The way she touched him, careful, practiced, told Monica everything. Tasha hadn't been playing house. She'd been surviving, mothering, holding two lives together with threads no one saw. Jacinda reached a hand toward the baby, then paused. Can I? Tasha hesitated, then nodded. Just once. Jacinda cradled him like a question, tears falling silently down her cheeks. And that's when the knock came. It was Ms. Harrington. Sorry to interrupt, she said. Her voice wasn't harsh, but it had that clipped tone professionals used when they had to sound compassionate under pressure. But there's a hearing. Today. Monica blinked. Today. That fast? Someone pushed it up, Harrington said. I was told to be ready. Monica's phone buzzed at that moment. A text. Anonymous number. You're not in control of the timeline anymore. No name. But she didn't need one. Troy. The hearing was scheduled for 2:00 p.m. Family Court downtown. Monica, Jacinda, and Tasha sat in a room that smelled like fear and paperwork. A court-appointed guardian had been added to the mix, someone who'd met Tasha for less than 10 minutes, but had already filed a report. Monica skimmed the copy over the woman's shoulder when she wasn't looking. The child appears overly adultified, distrustful of systems, and wary of authority. Signs of emotional neglect. Monica wanted to laugh, or scream. Of course she was wary. Of course she was adult. She'd had to become both to survive. Inside the courtroom, the judge was gray-haired and bored. She flipped through the case file like it was a sales brochure. CPS was represented by a lawyer who sounded like she was ordering lunch. The defense Monica's pro bono contact was young but razor-sharp. Tasha wasn't allowed to speak. Neither was Monica. Only Jacinda. The judge cleared her throat. "Miss Williams, do you believe you are ready to resume custody of your daughter and son?" Jacinda stood. Her voice shook. But she didn't back down. "I believe I'm getting ready," she said. "And I'm not asking to do it alone. I'm asking for help. Structured, honest help. I've already enrolled in outpatient treatment. I've signed up for parenting support. I have witnesses." She gestured gently toward Monica. "She's not family," the state lawyer cut in. "She's what we've got," Jacinda replied. The judge leaned back, unreadable. Then Troy entered the room. He wasn't scheduled to speak, but he walked up and requested a sidebar. The court allowed it. He whispered something to the judge. Monica couldn't hear it, but she saw the shift, the subtle hardening of the judge's face. And then, the gavel came down. Temporary placement to remain under state supervision. Reevaluation in 6 weeks. No transfer to parental custody at this time. Monica's chest caved in. Tasha didn't flinch. Jacinda folded. Micah cried. Back outside, Troy intercepted Monica. "You pushed too fast," he said, smooth as oil. "You made this emotional. You made it public." "That girl asked for milk, not a movement," Monica snapped. "Everything else came after." He smiled. "Well, now it's a legal case. And public or not, we still write the rules." She stepped in closer. "And I'm still recording. Every time you blink." He leaned in, voice lower. "You should know something. This program, the reclassification of high-risk minors, it's real. They're not looking to fix the cracks. They're redesigning the whole wall." Monica froze. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying some kids don't get out. Some stories end at the intake form. You just made sure everyone knows which ones to watch." He walked away before she could answer. That night, Monica posted again. Not an article, a video. Raw footage from inside the hearing, not illegal, but enough to spark fire. Her voice narrated over stills of Tasha holding Micah of Jacinda, gripping her coat like a life raft. This isn't about one girl anymore. This is about a system deciding which families deserve to heal and which ones are easier to forget. The video spread fast, faster than the article. Comments flooded in. So did threats. And one anonymous email with an attachment. "You're right. The wall's changing. Attached is proof." Monica opened it. Her eyes widened. It was a policy draft, marked confidential, detailing a pilot program that funneled certain children, especially those flagged as emotionally complex, into long-term care units with limited oversight. A euphemism for off-books foster centers. At the top corner, Troy's initials. Monica's hands shook as she saved the file. Because now it wasn't just about Tasha. It was about every child the system decided not to count. Monica didn't sleep that night. Not really. The document sat on her laptop like a lit fuse. Its headers clean, its language sterile, yet every word screamed. Behavioral outliers, long-term containment, privatized therapeutic reclassification. It wasn't a policy for support. It was a blueprint for erasure. And there, near the footer, was the name that tied everything together: Program Consultant, T. Mathers. She stared at it, heartbeat loud. This wasn't just about neglect. It was design. The system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as intended. And Tasha was one of the first test cases. By morning, Monica had printed the file. 3 hard copies. One for her, one for Nadine, and one for the only person who might get it in front of real power without watching it get buried. Kareem Wallace, a former city councilman turned media disruptor. He ran the Tally Room, a grassroots digital broadcast that reached millions without corporate filters. She called his burner line, "It's Monica Reyes." There was a pause. Damn. Haven't heard that voice since you exposed the Boyle Heights fire code scandal. I've got something bigger. How big? They're building black sites for kids. Kareem. Silence. I'll meet you in an hour, he said. The studio wasn't a studio, just a warehouse with blackout curtains and enough equipment to broadcast a rebellion. Kareem looked older than she remembered, grayer beard, heavier shoulders, but his eyes were sharp. She handed him the folder. He read it silently, then looked up. This is real, stamped. Signed. Internal use only. Jesus. Monica nodded. And Tasha. She's in the pilot group. They flagged her. She checks all the boxes: parental instability, maturity beyond age, resistance to authority. Basically, she didn't cry for help the right way. Exactly. Kareem stood. We go live tonight. Meanwhile, inside the center, Tasha was watching things unravel in her own way. She noticed how the staff started whispering when she walked by, how her meal portions got slightly smaller, how her sessions with the in-house counselor were now double in length. She didn't know about the file, but she felt the shift, like she'd been moved from at risk to inconvenient. That afternoon, she was taken to a different wing. No other kids, no windows, just soft walls and bright lights that never fully dimmed. This is where we monitor closely, the counselor said. Too cheerful. A chance to really focus on your growth. Tasha didn't argue. She just looked around. No clock, no books, no exit button. Just her and Micah, who was starting to cry more now, like he sensed something too. She whispered to him that night, We're not staying. I don't know how yet, but we're not. Back at the tally room, Monica sat beside Kareem under the camera lights. Live chat ticked up by the second. Thousands watching. Then tens of thousands. She laid it all out. Tasha, the milk, the viral clip, the system's reaction, the hearing, the file. And then she dropped it. The leaked policy document, Troy's role. The new containment plan. Kareem read excerpts aloud. Behavioral unpredictability should not delay placement. Revised family engagement protocol, optional follow-up. Extended care suggested for subjects exhibiting strong narrative control. Strong narrative control, he repeated. That's what they're calling a kid who can explain her own trauma. We used to call that resilience. The comments exploded. Let them be heard began trending. So did Free Tasha. That night, Monica got a call. Blocked number. She answered. Hello, Troy's voice. Calm. You're making a mistake. No. You did, she said. And now everyone's watching. You don't understand what you've stepped into. I understand more than you think. There was a pause. Then, you think they'll fix it just because they're mad. People love outrage. But systems outlive attention spans. Click. Monica let the silence sit for a moment. Then, she opened her email. 3 new messages. One was from a national journalist, another from a senator's aide, and the third from a name she hadn't seen in years. Gabriel Reyes, her brother. Just one line: I saw the video. I'm alive. Monica gasped. Her past collided with the present so violently, it felt like the breath was knocked out of her. But she didn't cry. She opened her laptop again. There was still one file she hadn't published: the names of the other flagged kids. Because if Tasha was the first, she wouldn't be the last. Monica stared at her screen. The message from Gabriel blinked at the bottom of her inbox like a heartbeat she'd long forgotten. I saw the video. I'm alive. 3 years, 3 cities, 1 silence, and now this. She exhaled slowly. She couldn't answer him yet. Not because she didn't want to, but because there were still children who hadn't written back. Children who couldn't. Children still flagged. She turned away from the email, opened the second file. The one she hadn't dared touch until now. Project FOGLINE. Secondary cases. Tier 2. Monitoring. There were 27 names, all under 13. All black or brown. All tagged with coded behavior metrics that sounded scientific, but smelled like profiling. Monica scrolled until one note stopped her cold. Subject 014. Removed from standard social education. after demonstrating narrative defiance during journaling exercises. Narrative defiance. They were punishing kids for telling the truth about their lives. She stood, called Kareem. We go again. This time we say the names. Inside the center, Tasha had stopped talking during therapy. Not out of fear, but out of calculation. She understood now, the more she said, the more they made notes. The more she opened up, the less they listened. Words she realized were currency, but only if you owned the narrative. So she stopped spending. Micah cried more now. The quiet room wasn't quiet anymore. The fluorescent lights buzzed like flies. Her cot creaked at night when she shifted to keep Micah warm, even though the air never changed temperature. Something was watching. Not a person, a pattern. That's when she made the plan. She stole a pen from the staff desk, tucked in her sock, just like Monica had taught her to hide valuables. Then, each night she wrote a word on her arm under her sleeve. Just one word. Monica. Micah. Mama. Home. If they erased everything else, she'd still have that. Monica's second broadcast shattered the first. She named names faces, where legally permitted, and read notes aloud from the FOGLINE file. She called for city officials to respond. Within hours, a city council rep issued a statement. Weak, defensive, investigating all allegations. But it was enough to spark protest. Students walked out at Crenshaw High. Activists staged a sit-in outside the Child Welfare Office. Nadine organized a vigil, candles lit for each name on the list. Then, someone leaked footage. Grainy security video from the center's isolation wing. A girl rocking back and forth. A crying baby. No adults in the frame. It was Tasha. The video hit Twitter like a lightning strike. Say Her Name again trended alongside Tasha Micah Matters. Suddenly, no one could pretend Tasha was just one more case. She was the mirror. Monica returned to the center under the weight of thousands of voices. Cameras followed. She was denied entry publicly. Reporters caught it on livestream. Her voice didn't waver. You're hiding a child who asked for help. That is not safety. That is control. By nightfall, a court order arrived. Tasha was to be released into provisional custody under Monica Reyes. The media swarmed the gates as Monica stepped inside. This time, she wasn't stopped. Staff scattered. The counselor tried to explain away the isolation room. Monica didn't stop walking. She found Tasha sitting against the wall pen, in handword half scrawled on her wrist. When their eyes met, something broke. Tasha stood, walked, didn't run. Monica opened her arms. This time, the girl didn't hesitate. The next day, Kareem ran a final stream. It was different this time. A long-form conversation. Monica, Tasha, Jacinda, and a few of the other families from the FOGLINE list who came forward. No sensational edits, no music, just truth. Tasha spoke into the mic with a voice steadier than most adults. I asked for milk, and they acted like I asked for permission to exist. I didn't. I just wanted Micah not to cry. She paused, looked straight into the lens. But if you're watching this, and you're a kid like me, you don't need permission to be heard. You already matter. Don't wait to be saved. Say something now. The chat exploded. Thousands of messages. One caught her eye. She speaks like we all wanted to when we were small. A month later, Project FOGLINE was dismantled. The pilot halted. Troy Mathers resigned publicly, disgraced. A congressional inquiry opened on covert youth displacement programs. And Tasha, she didn't disappear. She kept talking. At community meetings, in classrooms, on panels. Her name didn't fade. It became a signal. She wasn't a case file anymore. She was a chapter in every reform bill that came after. She was the girl who asked for milk and made the system answer for everything it stole.